Thank you very much. I'm Yancy Flores Bueso. I know it's a long name. We Latin Americans have long names. I'm a member of the Global Young Academy and a steering board member of the CoARA. Very happy to be here with you and to be facilitating this part of the event. So with that, we move on. And please, I ask you, as Sylvie did, to keep up to the 5 minutes of time. So will I invite Silvia Penati to introduce towards an inclusive evaluation of research proposal.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me here today. So you can move already to the next slide, please. Next slide, please. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so this working group is specifically tailored for addressing the problem of biases in general, in particular unconscious bias in the assessment of research quality. So the main question is, first of all, what does bias have to do with evaluation? Okay, it is well known that in any evaluation process, we may have biases present, both as systematic biases hidden inside well-established evaluation procedures or criteria, and or as accidental individual biases. So this working group will work on the development of very specific strategies to dig out and try to mitigate these biases within the CoARA general region of research evaluation. And in fact, precisely this working group aims at advancing gender equality, intersectionality, and diversity through better research assessment, ensuring inclusive and free from bias processes in the evaluation of research quality, and developing training programs on the possibility of recognizing and raising awareness about the presence of biases that will be provided to institutions and evaluators. At this point, we have a long list of partners. In fact, these are many more than the ones that we had the first time we presented this proposal. Today, we have 15 partners that are not only universities, but also European and international agencies. Okay, next, please. So the main deliverables and the main steps, let's say, of this working group are the following. They can be summarized basically in 3 main points. First of all, we will make a recognition of the main sources of bias in evaluation processes, in particular, collecting and comparing current assessment criteria and evaluation procedures applied in different European countries and by the European Commission. And in this first step, CoARA members will be involved as basically data sources. And at this point, a summarizing document will be drafted, which will help in raising awareness on the problem within different communities, scientific communities, and in all the interested stakeholders. As a second step, we will provide a guideline to national and European evaluation agencies, which contains suggestions on how to mitigate and counteract bias in peer evaluation procedures. At this stage, CoARA members, in particular, all the other working groups, will be active part in the discussion that will lead to this deliverable. And finally, we will produce an online consciousness raising and gender counter stereotype training to be provided to evaluators. Now we have already many partners with us, but still we are looking forward to opening the discussion also beyond the European boundary. And in fact, we have already some contacts with US institutions and Australian institutions. And of course, given the importance, I think, of this topic, we would be glad if many other members of CoARA join us. And to join us, just write a message to Bonaria Bianco or myself, Cecilia Penati at unimib.it. Okay, I hope I was in time. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Silvia. Very interesting proposal. It's great. And now we're going to present another great proposal, which is recruitment of researchers and early career researchers, presented by Philip. May I please ask Philip to step forward?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you,
Yes,
Philip.
okay, thank you. Sorry, I had
Okay.
problems with the audio. Okay. Yes, thank you for giving me the opportunity to present here. And next slide, please. As the title suggests, our working group deals with recruitment of researchers, and we want to do so with a special focus on early career stage researchers. So critical aspects for us are in order to have this to be transparent, efficient, and simple, and that we think it's very important that the true added value is coming from a strong focus on implementation that we want to achieve. We will first identify inhomogeneous procedures at our partner institutions and then unify possible systems and criterions that could be used in the recruitment phase in order to ensure an open and merit-based system of recruitment. By establishing guidelines and criteria, we then want to create a framework that simplifies the process of career start and progression also between universities, for example, by providing a model narrative CV that can present a researcher's full potential. Then training and on the transition of assessment system for all stakeholders, so not only researchers, but also institutions and reviewers is also central to us, as well as a pilot project at our lead university. And as I said, we want to focus on ECRs because we believe that those are among the most vulnerable group to changes in research assessment. The project lead is Vilnius University, and we're very happy that we could also involve the Centre pour la Communication Scientifique Directe from France as a co-lead, as they are really experts in communication and dissemination. Then we have some university partners that range from smaller size universities with strong regional embedding to one of the world's top universities, so also creating some diversity there. And we have partnered up with the Young Academy of Lithuania and Estonia because of our focus on ECRs, and we're also in contact with the Young Academy of Europe about partnering up. Next slide, please. For added values, we basically believe that there's added value to our working group from 4 areas. One is unification, where we aim to streamline recruitment procedures by providing guidelines and practices. We believe to ensure relevance and applicability by drawing from a very diverse pool of partners with universities different in size and international visibility and regional ties, as I mentioned before, and as well as national institutions being experts on, as I said before, dissemination and also for young researchers. For training and the pilot, we believe that our coordinated training efforts of not only researchers, but also evaluators and institutions administration, as well as the pilot, will allow for invaluable feedback coming from all these different directions and from the testbed that the pilot then represents. So these all together, we will then not only ensure mutual understanding, but also strengthen the recommendations and other working group activities. In turn, we want this to lead to true added value and provide also a good incentive for other research institutions to consider standardization of recruitment processes. Finally, the focus on ECRs is a topic that lies at the heart not only of me, but also for many of our partners, because the ESRs are one of the most vulnerable groups when facing a change of research assessment, because they do not yet have the established networks of senior researchers that they have and that they will help them succeed when facing adversity. Moreover, the ESRs were also often still trained under the old system, and their whole education has been to prepare them to do well in the old system. And now that they're finally out there and are faced with the change in assessment and telling them to also do X, Y, and Z on top of that, that's really not easy for them. So focusing on them and ensuring that practices and recommendations are in line with their needs is very important to us. As for impact, we expect that providing clear guidelines in recruitment processes will create a clear and trustworthy research environment from which not only researchers will benefit, but also participating institutions themselves in the long run. As I said before, implementation is very central and is also shown by our focus on the pilot. We believe that providing these pilot tested and revised recommendations to all stakeholders will then have a strong impact on their recruitment processes. Finally, we partnered with experts on dissemination to hit the ground running for this important aspect, and we will also make use of the partner universities networks for the European University Alliances that our universities are in. And also we want to use the great communications channels that the young academies have with their members to reach role model ESRs. Next slide, please. And for next steps, I just really want to focus and really want to emphasize that the working group is always open to new partners, and we will remain so throughout operation. And we strongly believe that coming from diversity and including even more unique backgrounds will enhance the proposal even further. There's no immediate need. We are already diverse, ranging from Portugal to Lithuania and in between, but any new member will always be very, very welcome. That said, what we're still looking for is we are seeking to attract a wider net of representatives of research organizations, including specifically decision makers, such as research council or ministries. Every new partner will bring a unique set of background that we welcome very, very much during implementation and after. Thank you.
Thank you, Philip. Thank you very much for a great proposal. And now we're gonna move on to another great proposal, which is ethics and research integrity, policy and responsible research assessment for data and artificial intelligence, by Francis. Can we please call Francis?
Hello, thank you so much. And it's very nice to be here with everyone. Thank you.
Very nice to meet you. Thank you.
So it's a rather large, ambitious proposal here, as you can say. I think the focus really is on data and artificial intelligence, but also coming at it from the perspective of ethics and research integrity here. What motivates this is really, I think, something at the core of CoARA, and that is how do we bring in new aspects of research into contemporary, innovative aspects of research that are not just, let's say, dealing with publications and impact factors and things like this, but especially the work that people do in data and also similar work that's being done in AI. So how do we evaluate that? Because we don't have traditional structures for evaluating that. How do we bring that in? And also, how do we do that within also bringing in some kind of innovative ethics and research integrity, because those are core parts as well of data and AI. So they have to be seen together, and how we can do that here together. So we'll look at the potential transformative nature of data and AI in scholarly research, while also trying to tackle the need for data and AI integrity, supporting ethical development of AI within research infrastructures and assessment. With Leuven, CODATA, RDI, and Leiden. Next slide. So what is the added value? I think pretty much it says here is to recognize this diversity of outputs, practices, and activities. And also, I think importantly, to maximize the quality and impact of the research. One of the things that we've seen working in the space, let's say, of open science, of data, of AI, is that in order to really, let's say, have value within open science, within open access, within open publications, there has to be assessment procedures there that support that. So we have to ensure that our assessment procedures also support the kind of works that's being done in these areas, and also that those assessment procedures bring in what's really important to people today is this idea of ethics and integrity as they are embedded already within data and AI. The other thing we want to do here too is we want to contribute to the development through this idea of researchers and research assessments to the EU dedicated and systematic policy that's facilitating uptake of the digital tools in AI and science. So if you follow what's going on in Brussels, you know Brussels is all about our digital societies, and we want to make sure that the role of these research institutions plays an important part in the development of policy and the development of innovation within our research societies. So we want to contribute really to a systematic change of research assessment through ethics and integrity, to give a more, let's say, qualitative, but also quantitative approach using evidence-based indicators and decision factors, decision support tools for evaluating the impact of data in AI applications. And the last slide. So we'll also look to develop a co-data disciplinary group across the institutions, publishers, researchers, funders, in order to help define what we need to do here. We will look together to define exactly what our outputs should be. One of the things we do know we need to do is to do a kind of fundamental literature review. We need to do a survey in order to understand what the needs are of the different research institutions or those invested in research institutions, look at the policy recommendations, standards, and guidelines, and then try to come to some kinds of outputs that can actually help the research community. AI, data, ethics, research integrity, that really goes across all different, those really go across all disciplines, all geographical locations. And we would really, really appreciate the support of all those who are interested to help us both shape the proposal for November, but also really to shape and do the work with us to make sure that we come to good outcomes. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much, Francis, and thank you for keeping in time. We are now going to move on to the final presentation, which is monitoring the social impact of research. Can I invite Teresa, please? Yeah, thank you, Teresa.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having this opportunity to present this working group proposal. Okay, so the idea of this working group is to promote a common framework of social impact monitoring, first because it's a gap among all the CoARA working groups, while being part of the embedded part of the agreement. And second, because it's an increasing demand, it's already a reality that research proposals, research careers, research institutions are evaluated against social impact in different phases. And there is not an agreement or a common framework of how to do this from all sides, from the researcher perspective, but also from the research institution perspective and research agencies, etc. So the idea of this working group is to come up with this common framework for social impact of research monitoring. The idea is to draw from existing initiatives, from existing methodologies, indicators, and to come up with this common framework. It is a reality that social impact cannot be measured with a single metric or with an algorithm, but we need to explore the existing resources and strategies that are already out there. In this working group, we cover ex post and itinerary and ex ante phases of the evaluation, and the idea is also to cover all type of research. So we include the idea of measuring and monitoring direct social impact, but also indirect one. So meaning those research endeavors that are contributing that other future research endeavors will have social impact. And we are also working with all disciplines, because this is already a requirement for all disciplines, and with the co-creation perspective. In order to monitor and to assess social impact, we need different voices, not only researchers, but also the societies, agencies, etc. So we also include this dimension. The working group sets 4 main objectives. The first one is to review existing efforts, as already mentioned, and also to identify successful actions, what works in these existing efforts. The second one is to consider at the different stages. Ex ante, it is known that we are all requested to explain our expected social impact. So this would be ex ante, but also in itinerary and also ex post. and to gather and to identify those mechanisms and those strategies that do not represent an increase of the administrative burden from both for research agencies, but also for the researcher perspective. The idea is to create a toolkit within this common framework for researchers and research institutions to collect and this data that will be made possible to show the social impact achieved or the expected to be achieved. The partners for the moment, it's been composed, this working group, by experts that are already working on the area of social impact assessment. The Autonomous University of Barcelona, my institution, will be the lead one, but we are also counting with the support of the University of Barcelona and the University Rovira i Virgili. The three of them are members of different alliances, universities alliances, and the EASH, the European Alliance of Social Science and Humanities. But of course, we are welcome any member from CoARA or any institution who would be interested in joining us. Can we move to the next slide, please? The added value is manifold. First, it's to address one of the most challenging shortcomings of existing assessment practices in order to assess and to evaluate the excellence of research. Social impact is also part of this excellence. Also, this idea of drawing from existing initiatives on social impact monitoring, tackling all types of research from disciplines, career institutions, and proposals, and considering these mechanisms that don't represent a burden, an extra burden to all sides. And also an added value is that is already led by experts who have a long experience in assessing, for instance, the European Commission or developing the indicators and the monitoring pathways for Horizon Europe, for instance. The expected impact, as mentioned, is this idea of creating this common framework to be ready use and for institutions to choose and to pick what would be more the best fit for them. And the next steps will be of course, to enlarge our working group. We are very much convinced that this working group will have a great repercussion. It will be a great asset for many institutions that are dealing with this challenge of research assessment, of how to deal with monitoring the social impact of research. And we encourage all those institutions who have experts and specialists in the field to join our working group to make it more excellent. The idea of the next steps to develop the full proposal will be to develop a draft of the full proposal and to circulate among all the interested agents. And if needed, we will call for specific meetings. So I would leave it here. Thank you.